Hi, this is Matt with M+M Industries. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do a field strip, just basic disassembly reassembly of the M10X. First step we want to do is to make sure that the M10X is clear. So to do that, we're going to remove the magazine and check the chamber. So to remove the magazine, you're going to press forward on the magazine release lever, and while pressing that in and holding it, you're going to rock the magazine forward and out. Then you're going to want to bring the bolt all the way to the rear and hold it as you inspect the chamber. So you can see right there the chamber is empty. You can also physically feel for a cartridge. Now, one thing that I want to note is right now the firearm, the hammer, is in the cocked position. Now that I know this is clear, I'm going to go ahead and dry fire. Now with the hammer down, if I was to engage the safety, this is fire, this is safe, you won't actually be able to bring the bolt all the way to the rear, as the safety disengages or blocks the trigger and prevents the hammer from resetting. So if you try to bring the bolt to the rear with the hammer in the down position, the fired position, it won't actually be able to go back because it gets hung up on the hammer. So you have to disengage the safety, bring it to the rear, you'll be able to cock the hammer again. So now that we're clear, first step is to open the gun to separate the upper from the lower. So this is done with the takedown latch, which is in the rear trunnion here. It can be accessed either by this hole. It's best to use some sort of tool, or you can even use the tip of a bullet to get in and push the latch forward. However, it's easiest just to fold the stock, so you're going to want to push in on this button here, and while pressing and holding, just move the stock over to the side, lock it in place. You can see the takedown latch is right here, and this is going to be pressed forward. So what you're going to want to do is press forward. You want to press and hold with one hand on the lower, one hand on the upper. And as you press and hold, you pull apart. Now once that's apart, you can go ahead and close the stock. You don't need to, it just makes it easier. Next step will be to remove the charging handle. So to remove the charging handle, you're going to push in and then turn 90 degrees. So press and turn. And what you're doing here is the charging handle has this little center shaft in here, a little pin that actually locks it into the bolt carrier, and this holds the bolt carrier to the gas piston. So this is the unlock position. See, if I press in on the end cap and turn, I rotate that little nub into place, and that's what actually locks it all together. It's important to note when you're reassembling that you need to make sure this is in the lock position. If the charging handle is not in the lock position, it'll simply be held in there by friction, and if you go to fire the weapon with the charging handle in the unlocked position, it will come flying out and you'll have to go find it. So once you have that out, you can reach in on the underside here to simply pull out the bolt and carrier and bring it all the way to the rear and out. You can also just give it a little tap and the bolt and carrier should fall out. The only thing retaining the bolt and carrier at this point is the lugs locked into the receiver and the gas piston, which goes into this hole on the carrier right here and then lines up with that slot there, which is held in place by the charging handle. To separate the bolt from the carrier, I'm just going to push it all the way to the rear, then rotate it up about 90 degrees and out to the front. And all you're doing here is the bolt has this little lug on the top right here that goes in this corresponding groove cut into the carrier, so you're just rotating out of that groove, and you can kind of see it has a little cutout right here, and that's where you want to realign it when you go to reassemble. So with the bolt and carrier out, you're going to want to take apart the gas system. So for the gas system, both the gas valve and the gas tube are held in by this little detent right here in the front. So to remove just the gas valve, you're going to push it down about halfway, and to remove the gas tube, you're going to push it down all the way. So press in, I'm going to rotate the gas valve. It will rotate out either way. And what you're doing here is just, you can see the gas valve has these two little lugs that match up to two corresponding cutouts on the gas tube. You just want to turn it until you get it lined up and then pull straight out. Now once you have the gas valve out, there's nothing left retaining the gas piston, so you can simply tilt the firearm forward and it should just fall at the front. Now if you have a dirty gun and There's some carbon buildup on there. You may need to push it out. It may not fall freely, so you can push it out from the inside of the ejection port here. Just push it forward and just pull straight out. Gas piston remove. Going to push the detent all the way down again and remove the gas tube. So just push in the detent and then rotate the gas tube. So in the front here, the gas tube is held in place by this little notch that corresponds to the detent. And then in the rear, in the upper receiver, you can't really see it because it's covered by the handguard, the gas tube is in there with a set of interrupted lugs. So you want to just turn it until it kind of pops out. And then once it pops, just pull straight out. So you can see those lugs right there. There's 3 of them. And that's what locks into the upper receiver. So now that you have the M10X disassembled, this is basically anything you need for basic maintenance, cleaning, that sort of thing. Gets you to all the components. You can very easily get to the chamber and barrel, access to the fire control group. You can even clean the gas port, which is kind of hard to pick up on camera, but it's right here. So for reassembly, it's just reversing the order. It's going to start with the gas tube. That just goes into the gas block. Push it all the way to the rear. You'll see right here the gas tube is kind of sitting a little high. That's because it's sitting on top of those lugs, so you just got to rotate it until you find the alignment with the lugs. And then it should just drop right into place. And then once it drops in, just want to rotate it until that little notch lines up with the detent, and it'll just snap right into place. And gas tube's in. For the gas piston, you want to make sure that this little cutout on the rear, when installed, is facing down towards the magazine wall. This is again what holds it to the bolt carrier and lines up with the charging handle. If you have it upside down, it simply won't line up and you won't be able to get it in. So again, facing down the proper way, everything will line up and you'll be able to get the charging handle in no problem. Oftentimes you're having trouble getting the charging handle in, it's because you're seeing something like this, where either the gas piston is a little too far forward or the bolt and the bolt carrier is not all the way in the battery. Take the gas piston, just drop it in, and to line it up you can kind of go into the rear here and turn it into position. If you don't get it quite right by dropping it straight in. And then with the gas piston in position, going to want to insert the gas valve. So just going to line up the lugs with the cutouts on the gas tube, push it in, and you'll see it kind of springs. That's because the gas piston is into the gas valve, so you'll have to push it down a little bit and just turn it and get it into the gas tube. You'll turn it till it stops, and when it stops, what's happening is the gas valve is just resting on this detent. So right now this isn't actually into any locked position, it's just moving freely. If you were to try to fire the gun like this, there would be no gas getting into the system. It would just be cut off and it would basically act as like a single shot. So you have to make sure you push the detent in and then rotate the gas valve into a position. So right here, that would be position 2 with the arrow on the gas valve pointed off towards the 7 o'clock position, and then position 1 would be with the arrow pointed directly towards the barrel. For the purposes of disassembly or reassembly, it doesn't really matter what gas position it's in, just know that it has to be in the corresponding position to how you want to shoot it to actually operate it. So once you have everything together for the gas system, going to want to reinstall the bolt into the carrier. So you're going to simply push the bolt into the carrier and then rotate it down into that lug. And to reinstall, you're going to have to make sure that the bolt is all the way forward. If the bolt is setting it back a little bit, the lugs on the bolt won't line up with the cutouts in the receiver, the rails in the receiver. So push it all the way forward. See the little cutouts? So the lug of the bolt is going to go into this big one. So if you just kind of line it up with that, everything should just drop right in. And once everything's dropped in, check to see if you're cleared to put the charging handle in. So you see right here, that's perfectly aligned. So we're just going to put the charging handle in, again in the unlocked position. Push it straight in. Now the charging handle is reversible, so it can go either right or left. And it can go in upside down, right side up, doesn't really matter. Just end user preference. So we're going to go ahead and pop that in. And then again we're going to push in on the end cap and rotate 90 degrees to lock it in place. So what's happening there? It's kind of hard to see when everything's together, but that little locking shaft I showed you, see right here, it's in the lock position. And then I'm going to push and rotate, and that's in the unlock position. So you can see that moving into place. That locks everything together, prevents the charging handle from being pulled out. So once you have everything together, just want to simply snap the upper and lower together, just a good little, make sure it's locked into place. And that's it. That is a complete reassembly. Hopefully that helps some guys out. Thanks for watching.